Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade. It's going down. This is Rasslin Rage. Do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. Scream it out loud. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade. It's going down. This is Rasslin Rage. Do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. Scream it out loud. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade. Rasslin Rage. Do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. Scream it out loud. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade. It's going down. This is Rasslin Rage. Do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. Scream it out loud. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade. It's going down. This is Rasslin Rage. Do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. Scream it out loud. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade. It's going down. This is Rasslin Rage. Do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. Scream it out loud. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade. It's going down. This is Rasslin Rage. Do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. Scream it out loud.
Ba-ba-ba-ba! It's your boy, DJ Z. And I want you to check out my man Cody over on YouTube at Rasslin Rage. Check his website out, r2youtube.com, and give them a follow, give them a subscribe, give them a like. Ba-ba-ba-ba!
Oh! It's going down. This is Rasslin Rage. Do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. Scream it out loud. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade. It's going down. This is Rasslin Rage. Do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. Scream it out loud. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade.
And now it's time for Rasslin Rage with your host, Cody Fleming.
And we're live. What is happening? Welcome to 118th episode of Rasslin Rage. Tonight is a special episode as we will be joined by the leader and founder of Death Threat Army, Jack Price. Aaron Orion. Wow, I skipped right over that one, didn't I? Aaron Orion, and also his tag team partner, or one of, I should say, Jack Price and Tommy Vendetta from the Death Threat Army. You will be able to ask them questions in the legit wrestling questions portion of the show. That will be towards the end. Also, make sure to scroll down into the description where you will find links to all three of their social media and as well as the Death Threat Army on all three platforms that I could find.
Now, don't forget to smash that thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. If it's the wrong color, make sure you hit it. Subscribe. Then you want to go over. You want to hit that bell. Make sure you hit the bell so that way you can get all the great content that Cody's constantly putting on the YouTube channel. We've got Rasslin Rage on Sundays. You know that. We got MIWs on Tuesdays. We have interviews on Wednesdays. We got interviews or matches on Fridays. There's constantly something going on. So make sure you hit that bell so that way you can stay up to date with everything that's going on. And I mean, honestly, at this point, if you don't hit the bell, I'm just going to stick Danny on you. And that's not a promise.
Whoa. Whoa. Don't steal anyone's gimmick, dude, especially when they're on the show.
And no kidding.
If you're watching on Facebook, Twitch, or anywhere else for that matter, head on over to r2youtube.com to join us in the live chat. We'll even give you a shout out on the show.
That is correct. So if you are on, what did he say? Facebook, right? Facebook and these other places they congregate in social media world. Head on over to R2 YouTube. That's the letter R, the number 2, YouTube.com. And if you comment in the chat here, we will shout you out, as well as you can ask questions to the members of the DTA here very, very shortly when they come on here to the show. We can't do the show without thanking our sponsors. First, Happy Harper Ice Cream. The best ice cream in the world. And it's a true story. And I've said it again and again and again and again. And I will fight you. I promise you that one, because it is the best ice cream in the world. Check them out on Facebook at Happy Harper Ice Cream. Or scroll down into that description. You hear that over and over again. Down in the description where you can find a link. Click it. Right to Facebook. Click follow. Click message, say, I want to buy all the ice cream.
Yes.
I'm cool with that.
No. Not all of it. Not all of it.
Okay.
I mean, I could always make more.
Save some for us.
We also want to thank another sponsor, BCWA. Now, you can find them at Facebook at GoBCWA. You can find their website at GoBCWA.com. You don't get any more simple than that. You will, if you're looking for them, type in Go BCWA. They're family friendly. They've got amazing wrestlers. You can normally find DTA there. So give them a look.
All right. That's enough of the business stuff. Let's get on to the good stuff, especially with the guest we have tonight.
It's DTA. That's right. So we're going to hit a music video of sorts while we bring the guys, the men, the army, the three amigos, the dudes, right? From Death Threat Army into our gracious chat here. And so that way you ain't got to see the ins and outs of everything. So I'm going to hit that. And while we do that, we'll bring in DTA. So enjoy. And we are back. I got to make some adjustments to the screen here, but we are currently waiting on Mr. Jack Price. There looks like, oh, there he is.
As always.
There he is.
As late as ever.
We'll bring him in there. Here he comes. He should be coming. There he is. All right, and now I got to
Black Diamond.
There he is. Yeah.
Look at that, man. He don't look no Corona hairdo or no Corona beard.
That's right. He's done up right.
Man, he's all crispy over there, man.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I had to put a hat on because my hair just wasn't doing it.
And I was complaining about the Corona goatee.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, there we go. I'm just making some adjustments here to the screen so everybody can hear and see us, just so you guys know. But awesome. Josh, hit it,
now
brother.
for anyone that's had their head in the sand or apparently just never gone to an indie show in the state of Michigan, the people that we have here are part of the Death Threat Army, also known as DTA. We've got the leader of DTA and current Ice Cream of the Crop winner, Aaron Orion.
What kind of ice cream is that?
It's not an ice cream yet. He's just the winner of the cream of the crop.
Oh,
we've
Not
got
a fan of decisions,
the
but
Black
that's all right.
Diamond, Jack Price.
hey.
Ooh.
And we've got the lovable psychopath, Tommy Vendetta. Thank you guys so much for coming out to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
It's fantastic to have you guys here. The first question I got, though, for the current Ice Cream of the Crop winner, sponsored by Happy Harper, Aaron Orion, what have you been doing to keep sane during all this craziness and the time down and everything?
Yeah, what have you been doing there, Orion?
Mostly just been fixing up my house. That's what we're doing right now. Myself and Nick Zero have been in here working.
Is Nick there?
Yeah, he's here. He's actually trying to put in the toilet right now.
I was going to tell him to bring his pudgy little butt on screen real quick.
But yeah, so we've been doing that all day. We went to Home Depot. We said we were just going to put new floors in, and then we went to Home Depot and we ended up buying $800 worth of stuff to redo the entire bathroom. So, and here comes the cat.
Hey, that's a cool cat. I like that cat. He's fluffy.
Everybody wants to be a star.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of work around the house and stuff is basically what I've been doing. Stuck here with the kids that drive me bananas. So that's been most of my life is just doing dad stuff.
All right. Now, Mr. Black Diamond, I've been seeing a lot of the TikTok videos you've been doing. Outside of mastering some of those dances, what have you been doing?
TikTok is addicting, man. Let me tell you that. Me, I have been doing the dad thing. I got a 1-year-old running a household, driving me crazy. And I've just been lazy. I've never appreciated the laziness of life. Like, I love it. And just killing and sleeping, man. That's all I'm doing. And now I got to go back to the real. I got to go back to the real world tomorrow, and I'm dreading.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that sucks.
They'll start messaging me at 10 o'clock. I'll be like, I'm still sleeping. I ain't waking up till like noon. What you doing?
He ain't lying either.
Absolutely.
How about you, Tommy? What have you been doing?
I've been doing the dad thing as well, just for my fur baby, So that's pretty much been the focal point of my existence of late. I've been contemplating jumping off the roof more, but mom doesn't like the idea. And aside from that, man, just trying to stay in shape, try and keep myself busy, focus on anything wrestling, and that's pretty much it.
All right.
Absolutely. Now, before we go, Dan, before you ask your question here, buddy, we got a bunch of people in the chat here. And, we're not going to ask questions to the guys from the people in the chat, but, we got to say hi to Zeke and Quentin and Connor. And we got to say hello to PKSA Port Huron. That'd be Alex's dad. Hello, sir.
Yep.
Master
man.
Weir.
Hello, Master Weir. What's up, Skyjacker?
Tim Wicklin. Hello. Let's see here. Colton Ryder, Holland in the house. Hello, sir.
Oh man, the Hollands are here.
Yeah, Brendan Petnoid. I don't know how to say that, but hello to you, sir.
Well, that's my food right there.
And then I believe this would be Adam Wick down here too. This is okay. I'm going to let this one slide because it's Adam Wick, and he's asking a question, and he would like to know how Tommy Vendetta received his black eye.
Hey, I knew that was coming. I thought it was going to come from a regular, but I knew it was coming.
So, all right.
Because I was about to ask that question.
So I don't know. It wasn't really covered on the news, but the Detroit Zoo had a baboon escape. And, he made its way through Metro Detroit, and it actually came in my backyard, and I noticed it, and I said, well, that's a hazard to the neighbor kids. So I confronted the baboon, and this the result, man. It's crazy.
Right.
These animals they're going crazy about this coronavirus.
Coronavirus.
Corona.
All right, Danny.
All right. Well, you know what? First, I gotta say, I get the kid thing. All right, I get it. I absolutely get it. But all 300 of mine. All right. Now, you know, we know from previous interviews, that DTA started in Georgia in 2014. While Aaron, you were in the service. And what led to the formation of the Death Threat?
So like when I was down there, I was just kind of being like Aaron Orion. I was in the military, but I was just being like as the wrestler, the performer. I was just being like Aaron Orion. I didn't really found myself. So once I got to the military, I started finding like new, like I don't know, like the new me or like the actual me, and then I met Jamie Hall, who was the other founder. Oh, we gotta go to the store because fucking Nick Zero, dude. I'm telling you right now. You guys don't know Nick Zero. He's a real piece of shit.
Man, that was so sweet.
That was lame.
We're losing him.
Way to go, Aaron.
Yeah, we lost him. That's all right.
No service.
That's okay. But
way to go, Aaron.
We know that he
way to go, Nick.
When he comes back, and we'll circle back to it. Don't worry about it. At what point did Jack? When did you come into the mix with Death Threat Army? Now we know that in 2014, like we talked about, that they came in. There he is.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back, and he's back.
I'm back.
All right.
Where did I leave off, guys?
Well, you were talking about Jamie Hall, I believe.
Okay, so Jamie Hall and I met Jamie Hall at a wrestling show. He was a medic, and he was stationed at Fort Stewart as well. And he had brought up the idea of us tagging, and so then we needed a name. And we sat trying to think of names for a couple of days, and I had a bunch of bad ideas, and he had a bunch of bad ideas. And eventually he said Death Threat. And that name just like it stuck right away. Like that's the fucking name. And so like from that moment on, we started tagging as Death Threat, and then that's where like our gear is still inspired by original gear. Like the gear that Jamie and I wore is like when you see our like the black tights all the guys have, it's still like it's a modification of the original gear that we had. But yeah, that's where like the foundation comes from, and then that's I say you've seen Jamie Hall a couple of times up here. He was trained by Seth Rollins at Seth Rollins School.
Oh wow!
And he did a couple shows up here with us in Michigan and Ohio while he was going back to Georgia, just doing a loop he was doing from like Iowa to Georgia. He did a couple shows with us, but most people don't know who he is up here. So I always try to make sure that people are, know the name Jamie Hall, because he was a huge asset and a huge component of coming up with the name and the team.
Right. Absolutely. Now, so at 2014 it forms, and then I believe you get out of the service, you come back up to Michigan at some point. When did you and Jack get mixed up? So first, Aaron, how did you meet Jack? And then Jack, tell us about your version of meeting Aaron and where you're at.
So like I met Jack like when he first started reffing for the MWO Michigan Wrestling Organization way back in the day. I had I'd taken time off wrestling because of my daughter being born, and
Pretty lame excuse.
Listen to this guy.
Well, I had, and so then me and my old tag partner, Chris Corvus, we had went to one of the NWO shows just to watch it, and I seen him. It was his first like match ever, but it was basically a Royal Rumble, and he went in and he didn't do shit in the match. He went in, he got clothesline, he got thrown out, and from that moment, I was like, oh shit, dude, I'm gonna stay out here. Do you have my card?
I show potential with that close.
All right. So then, but from that, it's like I always pride myself on is that I feel like I can see like potential or talent, like, and like I said, just from him entering the ring, taking a clothesline, getting thrown out, I was like, oh, this motherfucker's gonna be good. So then I talked to the promoter, and then I convinced him to let us have like a best of 5 series. And and just like me being like the cocky person that I was like, man, you give me 5 matches with him, I guarantee that after those 5 matches, he'll be able to come into like his own, and he's gonna be a much better wrestler than any training that they were ever gonna be able to offer him. So that's how I met him. And then when when we were on our way back, like early 2017, me and Jack talk all the time, and I was just like, hey, like this is my plan. But at first it wasn't a faction. It was just like an idea to try to be able to give back to young guys, like how we do now.
Right.
Because I had kind of thought to myself, like, hey, like I might just be done. Like nothing's happening. Like I was scared that I was gonna come home and not be good enough and all that BS. So it was just kind of one of those things. It was like, man, I just want to use the platform that I have to be able to like give these guys like a little one up, so then they could like just have like a better head start than just coming out of training or whatever. And then Orlando Christopher came through, and he Tom from War in Ohio, he'd asked for a good face tag team, and Orlando Christopher just happened to be like, hey, no, I know 2 really good dudes, and he put our names in, and Tom contacted us, and then I called my gear guy. I had gear custom made for us, and then like 2 weeks later, we were there at some fair show, kicking ass, and then we was off to the races.
So
Wow,
Jack, pick it up. So you meet. He tells us the story how you meet him, right?
Right.
Now, is there a different interpretation, or is it about the same?
It's about the same. Like right. I seen him. He used to come to shows dressed up, and I'm like, who is this guy that's dressed up? Like who is this guy? I never heard of him as far as that. Like we met at MWO. That's the promotion I started at, and so the back chatter was oh, that's Aaron Orion. He started here when he was like 16 or something, like somewhere around there. I'm like, oh, cool. Then he approached me and like, hey guy, let's have this best of 5. And I'm like, who is this guy? Like why do you want to wrestle me? So anyways, I'm like, whatever, I thought I was good, and I was horrible, but I thought I was good. And so we in the back calling a match. And like when Aaron calls his match, it's like, hey man, we go boom, 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 bow, bow, boom, boom, bow, boom, boom, boom. And I'm just looking at him like this. And I'm like, I'm about to fuck this up.
and then you feed up, and then hit, and then bang, and then down, and then count.
It's a lot of sound effects.
So and the crazy part is that's how I call my matches now. I'm in the back like, hey man, we about to boom, 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 boom. They're like, man, Jack, what the fuck, bro? I'm like, bro, just go out there and just but
we'll be all right. We'll work it out.
But we had the best of 5. It was fun. And then he went off to the Army, and I stayed in the NWO, and we stayed in contact all the time. And he told me he was coming back, and I'm like, bro, I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to travel. He like, look, if I come back, let's do it. And I'm like, hey, I'm down. And then, like you said, Orlando Christopher hit us up, and we went to War. And that was our first time tagging, like ever. Like we never tagged. But we knew each other's moves, so we was cool. But we never tagged, so we didn't know how the chemistry was gonna work or whatever. But we got in the ring, and once the match was over, we got in the back, and they like, that's our first time tagging? And we like, yeah. They like, what the heck, And it was so cool. So that was fun. So.
Is that match on YouTube somewhere or so? I'd really be interested in seeing that.
It might be.
I've seen it somewhere. I think that it was posted. Man, maybe it was like a War went live or something for it or something like that. Like it feels like I've seen it before because I hated it. We didn't have any of our like cute moves or anything like that. Like
we didn't have no moves.
Yeah, like we didn't. Like we just like we had
you guys
like,
do
super
double hip
basic tag
tosses and
moves.
stuff like that.
We didn't do a double hip toss, you piece of shit. But
double hip toss.
Double hip toss, hold hands, elbow drop together.
Listen, this is amazing.
So bad.
Daddy, who is that? I'm not calling.
Hey, you know that
that'd be Aaron calling himself daddy. Josh, hit it up, bro.
So you guys have you two have a best of 5 competition. When you had your first tag match, you might not have liked it looking back on it, but I mean, when you two get in the ring and you're tagging with each other, there doesn't seem to be any outward communication between the two of you. You're just, you know what the other one's about to do, and you're always there for each other. Is that just because you spent so much time together? Was there an instant click that first time, or is it something you guys built up to?
The way I remember it, it just happened so fast. Like, I don't know, like it just seemed like because Jack like openly like admits that he thought he hated tag match. Like he thought he was gonna hate tag wrestling. Yeah. But it just like it was like one of those things like when it goes for like our friend group and our family is like when we're that's why this guy Nick Zero right here is at my house helping me redo my bathroom for no reason.
Can you put it back on him?
It's just
that's
like
what Santa Claus looked like before he got white hair.
When you're close, it's just like you don't need all of that. Like you don't need to talk. Like you can feel it, and it's the same as all of our friendships. And like when no matter if there's an issue and someone's mad or something, it's like we can feel it. We can feel the issue, and we can feel empathy towards that person and try to fix what's wrong. And it's very similar to in tag wrestling. It's like if I see Jack give me just one cross eye, I know, hey, we're about to get in here and I got to fuck somebody up, or vice versa, or like it's like unspoken when you're in sync, like your chemistry, you just don't need to talk. And also just it's the countless hours that we have together prior to us tagging. We feuded a bunch all over Michigan and stuff. It was like one of the when we were hot in the very beginning, it was like one of the premier matches. People would be like, hey, we got to get this Orion versus Jack Price match. And then we started tagging and and then it was like, now we got to get Death right here. We got to do this. And so I think it's a mixture of both, but it feels like it just was like, bam, right there, just clicked immediately.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very nice. Now, somewhere along the line, y'all meet Mr. Tommy Vendetta.
Hey, Tommy.
Tommy, can you tell us about how you met Jack and Aaron and where it kind of went from there?
Yeah. So I just started training at Pure Pro Wrestling with A7 over there, and actually Nick Zero was one of my original trainers. Fun fact. And I was picking up on everything pretty quickly. It seemed like I was like grasping concepts, and I had a match with Max Morrison in Holland, and I had it filmed. And I had been talking to Carm at this time, and Carm was in Death Threat at the time. So like me and him had already been like talking. I met him at a couple of shows. So like he had told all the guys in Death Threat about me and stuff like that. So then I sent a match to Carm, the match that I had with Max, and it was awful. Looking back on it, I don't know why anyone let me in the ring. They should have just told me to sit outside, dude. No. I threw real bad clotheslines that when I first met Aaron, this is the first thing this man ever said to me. He walked in, I stood up, shook his hand, he goes, your clotheslines look like shit.
Wait, at least he's honest, right?
Yeah.
No, he was honest, and we got right. We to his credit, we got right in the ring. We started working on him. By the end of the day, I could throw a clothesline. It was great. But that was my first impression of Aaron was here comes this badass pro wrestler. Essentially he was my first glimpse of real life pro wrestler. Like I looked at him and I was just like, wow, like that dude's a superstar. Like that's what I want to do.
Right.
And then same thing when I met Jack. Like I met Jack along the way. Like I think we were going to, what was it? We were going to war, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or no, it was LPW.
Was it?
I think, wasn't it LPW that I met you, or was it
Ohio?
war?
That's all.
I don't know, somewhere in Ohio.
Yeah.
But it's the first time I met Jack, and like it was just we instantly like clicked. Like we were friends. Like it was always chill. And then when Jack and I first wrestled, like tag wise, was at IPW against the Monroes, and first time we tagged, and like looking back on that match, even like now it holds up. Like I was impressed by like how much chemistry we had. Like we just naturally like were able to like Aaron said, we were able to like take one of our moves and one of the other guys' moves and mingle them together and make it something. And then it's like that to me was like the one thing that I got from them too has always been like just the natural ability to like look at the situation and like figure out what you have to do and what like is necessary to get you through the match and stuff. And that's where like when I first learned all that was like 2018 when I first met them, and then from there it's just been one big long road of absolute craziness.
Well, it's not necessarily a bad thing because I mean,
Oh no, it's all great.
we see you all three of you all over the state, you know. So and outside, we see matches. We don't necessarily make it quite outside the state that often, but we see you guys, you know, are on cards outside of Michigan as well. Now, I have a little bit of history here. I hope everybody's ready for this because this is the question. I am so ready. You have no fucking idea. All right. So a little bit of history here. Okay. August 17th, 2019, the Crowfoot in Pontiac, Michigan. Okay. Josh and I are both there. You three dudes are there. The bad guy over there, he wasn't cool enough to hang out with us that weekend. Okay. But I remember this weekend very, very well because, first of all, you guys tagged against, it would be the Fun Lovin' Criminals, I believe. And
Yep.
Now you didn't come out with the W, and members of the Kira clan
I know what you're talking about.
come out and, well, Johnny Delicious and, you know, whatever, and some things take place. And then one person named or known as Master Weaponized Alex Weir comes out and makes it like he's going to save the day, and instead spin kicks Aaron Orion in the face and then gives Jack Price a few elbows. Okay. So in fact, this was one of my most memorable moments in Michigan independent wrestling because I am one of those guys for raw, pure emotion. And in that moment, when he hits you guys, I absolutely lost my shit. And I want to know, when the heck do we get to watch Aaron Orion destroy Alex Weir? Okay.
Alex he's got to come out of retirement first.
And to add to that, I'm really excited to see such a thing. Please.
I mean, I'm sure there's a match floating around of a very, very young Alex Weir getting that ass whooped.
That was wannabe Alex Weir too.
Wannabe.
Was
it this?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Wannabe.
But yeah, it was just it's one of those things where, you know, like as long as Alex is still coming to XI, we're gonna cross paths eventually here. As soon as wrestling picks back up, if you guys remember the last Proving Ground show, DTA shut the whole night down with a killer, if I may say, main event to go into quarantine. Yes. Little did we know it was going to be quarantine, but
right.
We shut the night down with an awesome match. It like the hype inside of the match. It just is like, man, if we were going to go into quarantine and shut the whole world down, I'm glad that was the match we did it with.
Yeah, right. No, real life.
Yeah, that was a hell of a night, man. I would have been really disappointed if there wouldn't have been a fuck coronavirus chant, and there was. So, you know, so that was awesome.
I mean, 'cause we're, you know, it's like we're on the brink of the whole, you know, all weekend shows were getting shut down.
Yeah, we had 2 shows that we were on. Both of them didn't get shut down, but like everything was like looming in the air at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were supposed to do chainsaw.
I
Chainsaw
think
closed
when we
down.
said
and
that
then-
though,
What's
I
that?
think when we said that, we made it mad.
Yeah, coronavirus. Yeah, we made it bad.
Yeah, it came back with a
Right.
vengeance. It was mad because we made fun of it.
That's true.
Yeah. Now, I mean, with that night, I kind of assume that's pretty much when Alex was out of the DTA. I know there's been a lot of members in the past. People have made the joke a lot about there's enough members of DTA to actually be your own army. So my question is, like, how many members have there been of the DTA? Like, do you guys know how many people have come and gone, and how many
I'll have
active
the
members
list.
of DTA are there right now?
Look,
I mean, it's hard to say. Like,
Tommy's got a list.
yes, I don't have a list necessarily because there's so many guys that like not so many guys, but like like most people don't know like the Southern guys like Kenji and Jamie, and then like obviously like Karam was with us when he first started out, and then he's went on his own. Same with like Jody, she was with us when we first started out, and she's obviously, we're all still friends and we're all still a family, but everyone has like a direction they want their wrestling career or their personality or whatever to go. And all we're here to do, it's not like the mob or the mafia. When you leave, we're gonna put a hit out on you. It's just like we're legitimately here just to try to help as much as we can, because at the end of the day, if I never make it or Jack never makes it, at least we can say like, hey, we gave everything we had to these guys that we believed in and gave them the most opportunities that we could give, regardless if it's like I'm not wrestling on a TV show every week or what, but it's like I know I have knowledge to give, and I know that my knowledge is worthwhile. So it's like I want to give that to as many people as I possibly can that I believe in, and when I see those people, I believe in them, and if they fit like the attitude in and outside of the ring, then it's just like I want you to be successful, and I want you there. So I'd say like you got like the core of us, which was always me, Jack, Tommy, Alex, Adam, Bronner, and that's our main guys. And then you got like Jamie and Kenji and I think that's it, isn't it?
Essentially, yeah. I don't think.
Yeah, so that those are the active wrestling guys that are on an active schedule, or was on an active schedule.
Right.
And then, like I said, there's not like a limit. Like I'm never like, oh, we have too many people, or we don't have enough people, we gotta go find more people. It's just like something will come up where either we find ourselves always interacting with somebody, and we're always giving out information and trying to help, and we're like, hey, like we click with this person. We want this person to be with us. We want to travel with this person. We want to do this. We take like that brotherhood liking to them. We're like, hey, this is our guy. So let's do it, and let's give them a platform that we have, at least in the Midwest or in Michigan. At the very least, we can give them like a nice bump and get some eyes on them that might not be paying attention to them without like our name on them.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. We've been talking about tag team wrestling on Rasslin Rage and MIW lately. We have seen DTA wrestle in many combinations. It's kind of you guys take well advantage of the kind of the Freebird rule, and it seems to it works. Is there like a rhyme, a reason to how you guys pick which two are going to face a certain tag team, or do you guys like have your favorites that you guys like to tag with?
I said someone can take over first. I've been talking this whole time, so
Yeah,
someone can go
I'll
and go last.
Well, I know for me, like if I were to pick out of like DTA who I wanted to tag with, like if someone were to say like, hey, you got to beat these two dudes, or like I'm gonna punch your mom in the throat, and like I had to beat them, like I'm choosing Aaron right out the gate because I've tagged with him more. Like we've been in Canada together, we've been to like down south more, like we've traveled all across the Midwest. Like Aaron and I are to the point, like same with like Aaron and Jack are, where like we can go through an entire match and we don't have to speak to each other like one or two times unless it's to be like, hey man, I'm really, really blown up. But like
essentially it just depends, I guess, the atmosphere that you're in, the mood that like everyone's trying to purvey. Because I know, like, for me, I have, like, when I tag with Aaron, it's more aggression. We're literally trying to kill people.
You
When I
dudes
tag
are
with
some
Antoine,
pretty
we're
aggressive
trying to
dudes,
kill
I'm gonna
people.
say.
Yeah. Yeah.
We try.
There is no try.
Like Antoine's also aggressive. Like, you see that man get a dude in the corner and he starts like whooping on him like that man owes him money.
Yeah, but he's
like,
smooth.
That's
You
the thing.
dudes
Like
are
I said,
just pit bulls.
That's when I tag with Antoine, like I get the smoothness. I get like same thing. Aaron's smooth, but Antoine's got like or Jack, excuse me, has got like that different. He's got like that different level that he can tap into, where like it's totally. It's out of the world. Like, people can look at it and he's just moving at a different pace than everyone else, but he's not moving like fast. He's there and he's moving smooth. It's like the wind. It's crazy.
Mm. Yeah, I noticed too that when Aaron comes out, it's all business. You can read it on his face. It's all business. When you come out, like you said, it depends on what you're looking to get done. Jack comes out and he comes out, man. He's all good. He it's like he lures you into that false sense of security and then knocks your teeth out.
Yep.
The least expected.
Yep. Exactly.
That's great.
That's how it is.
Now, I did an interview this week with the Grey Wolves. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with them.
I just heard a clip of that.
Yeah. Now, they're graduates from the Pure Pro Wrestling Development Center. They talked about working with Aaron specifically on tag team wrestling. Is there something you enjoy about teaching in general, and more specific, teaching young guys in the industry?
The whole thing, there's something about it, and it's the reason this whole the whole structure that we have exists. I love it. Like, I love giving back, and I could be having the worst day of all time or the worst week of all time. But when I show up to wrestling or when I show up to training, I just get hyped. I get amped up, and it's one of the things, like, other than wrestling, teaching people wrestling, it's one of those things that makes me so happy. And then obviously, like I said, like everyone knows, I'm a huge proponent of tag wrestling, probably to a fault at times, and it's such a fine art that it's like teaching somebody like how to make a cake from scratch, or you can just go buy a cake from the store, but it's like the intricacies and the passion you have to bring it from nothing to something, and everything. There's a cat again. And it's just like there's something about it that just like it makes me like fulfilled.
Right. That's awesome, dude. For real.
No, like I know, like, from just like seeing Aaron and like being a part of the training and stuff like that, and being on the road with him. Same thing with Jack. Like, you can feel the passion that like they both have for wrestling. And like when someone comes up and asks them a question, or like when I go over and I ask them a question, like, you're getting a 100% passionate answer that's like well thought out. Like, they're there for you. And I think that's what like sets people, at least in my eyes, that sets Jack and Aaron at like a different bar, as opposed to like top guys in Michigan. Like, they're just set, in my opinion, above everyone else, because they, like we all say, above the rest, but like they do it all. They help everyone. They're unselfish. They go out there and they'll bump 15, 20 times in that ring, and then they'll go in the back and they'll explain what like you did wrong in your match, even though they're tired, exhausted, like they don't care. And I think that's like one of the most underappreciated things that they do.
That's awesome, man.
Mm.
So
That's great. Now, individually, you guys have faced people all over. As tag teams, you've destroyed teams across the state and beyond. And as a faction, in my mind, you've changed the face of Michigan independent wrestling forever. So my question is, as things go on, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind for DTA? 20 years from now, if someone talks about DTA, what do you think that they bring up?
I mean, basically exactly what Tommy was just saying. Like, I want to be known for for our title runs, and I want to be known for our matches and the quality of them, never dipping, and no matter how many matches we have in a week, we're giving 110% every night. But also, like, I want them to know that, like, we never stop letting it be fun. We never stop letting it be a family, and we never stop caring about giving back to the guys. And same as like my legacy, I want it to be the same as how you see like a Tyson Dukes, like one of the guys that like I've learned a lot from over the years is like he's been everywhere. He's done everything. And he isn't a guy you see on TV every week, but he has like that passion and fire that, and you can see in his eyes. It's like when he's out there teaching at his school in Canada, it's like his legacy isn't going to be that he wrestled at WrestleMania maybe, but his legacy is going to be that he helped develop all these guys and made such an impact on the community of wrestling. And that's what I see for myself. That's what I want to leave behind.
That's awesome.
What about you, Jack?
Basically the same thing. Like I love to give. Shut up, Josh. I was just listening. But anyways, I love to give back, like, any way possible, anything I can do. But like Josh said, that was so nice of you, Josh, by the way. Like you said, that almost gave me a tear. But
that's if I'm being genuine, But we're straight shooting here.
I just want people to just. I'm never selfish. I'm willing to work with anybody as many times as that I have to. Like I have matches. Me and Aaron wrestled the Mem Rose 20 times one time. Like, God damn! Like in my head, I was like, God damn, But it also in my head, I was like, how can we make this match better than the last match? So it was more of a challenge for me after the 10th time, But right. I just want people to realize that it's not about just you; it's about everybody as a whole. Like, we all family. Just like DTA, if one of us make it, I feel like we all made it. That's just how I feel. Like, if I don't make it, I don't make it. If Josh or Tommy makes it, my bad. If Tommy makes it, hey, I will feel happy, and hopefully he doesn't forget about me. And
no, I feel that. I think that's like the most important aspect to like the Death Threat Army legacy is like the unselfishness. Like we joke about being.
What a
piece of
like
shit.
I'm on the phone. You stupid son.
Oh God! Oh no! Is that Mom?
Oh man!
Mom, don't get that.
Aaron's getting beat.
Hey Tommy, that reminded me of the match when old girl dropped his phone. He was like, "My phone."
Oh, dude! the middle of the match. That was the last one. That was the one right before the quarantine. But no, I feel like the legacy of Death Threat Army is like we all go out there and we try to be as unselfish as we can be, like in the ring and stuff. And sometimes it's to a fault. Like I know I get yelled at by Jack and Aaron a lot because they're like, "What are you doing out there, man? Like you're just letting these guys chuck you around for 5 minutes." And I'm like, yeah, but they look sweet, right? But it's like I think it's like it's more so like deeper than just wrestling. Like it's right. When guys talk about Aaron and Jack and Alex and Adam and Isaiah, they talk about him as like a person. And I think that's who like my goal is that if I can like leave a mark on anybody, if it's just like, wow, that dude was really stupid and did something dumb, but like, hey, I remember it. Like,
but he didn't jump off his roof.
Hey, one day. That's how I got the black eye. My mom punched me in the face because I tried to get on the roof.
Listen to this. Hey, Dan, what do you got, buddy?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, we had Ace Evans, Chuck Whedon, Mo Evans, Road Rash on MIW and Rage. And then Cody did an interview with Donahue. One of the questions that we asked was which faction they would like to most face. Most of them answered the DTA. not only did they answer DTA, they loved the idea of a war game style against the DTA. Is there any possibility of DTA versus the Nomads in a war games? And would that be something you guys be interested in doing?
I'll sign that contract and just put it out in front.
Say it.
The smile across Tommy's face when you said that.
Surprisingly, like we haven't had that many matches with the Nomads, which is odd. It seems like we would have wrestled them 800 times by now. But some way, somehow, we've always just kind of like, we've been on the same shows. We wrestled, like I said, we've had a couple matches. I think Jack and I won and then lost the PPW tag team titles to them a couple times in the past. But it's odd that we haven't had more interaction with each other, especially because when it comes to like factions or groups and stuff, obviously we're fucking way better. So they can suck it.
Yeah. Yes.
But we never really have had we've never had like a real like feud with them. Other than just like a handful of couple matches every now and then.
Right. That's awesome. So Tommy, you're sitting back, you're having some chips. Tell us your thought. I mean, I've talked about this on the show a couple times about how I think, you bring a different element than most people in the state of Michigan right now. What do you think a war games against the Nomads would be like? Like, I know you're a little psycho, so I want to know what you think.
It just depends what Aaron and Jack will let me get away with. If they take the leash off the dog, I'll run rabbit. It doesn't matter. I'll do whatever. I've proven I'm willing to put my body and my life on the line for this. I don't care.
Right.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
I'll jump off the top of War Games through a flaming ladder that's covered in thumbtacks, and Satan is actually jumping on my back. Let's do it.
Why is that guy
Hell
so
yeah.
crazy?
Be down, man.
So we talked a little bit about history and DTA legacy. We've seen members come and members go. We've seen, I think we're kind of like at this spot, right? Where, is DTA looking to expand or bring in members? And if there are you, if you are, is there a Rasslin Rage exclusive in there?
I want to say we're looking to bring in. I want to say it like that, but we always looking though. Like we always.
We're like McDonald's, we're always hiring, but like we might not need you at that time.
I mean, like I was saying earlier, it's like it's one of those situations where the doors never close, and we're never at like, oh, we have too many people. People are making fun of us. We can't bring this guy in. For me, it's always like, how do we make it work? Because like I said, like we want to be able to do it in a situation where it leaves like a splash, not just like, oh, they just kind of showed up and now they're a part of the group or something like that. We always want to have like, make it mean something so it can get on like a news reel through the Michigan indie scene and stuff like that, or get a couple of videos trending. Like that's what we want to do. So like it might not be the right time, but the time is soon. But yeah, so there's never a time where we're like, oh, you know what, we can't do it now. We can't do it because of this or because of that. It's just one of those things where it's like when we have someone in mind, like we have people in mind, and then we try to like find a way to make it work. Obviously now with no shows happening, it's hard to make it work, but we try to find a way where we can make a splash with that person, and then regardless of that person going to be like part of our faction, like walking out with us and dressing like us, doing all the stupid stuff, or there's going to be a member of our team and still wrestle as their own person. It's just it's just kind of like a because like for me per se, even like I never seen Alex becoming weaponized Alex Weir. I knew it was in him. Like I could see it. Like when I looked at his stupid leather vest, that there was something better in there somewhere. And like like in my head, I always pictured like on the like when the fuck is that show? The Expendables.
Yeah.
When all the new expendable guys, like the young guys, came in, I always seen Alex like that in some way, and I was just like, he's like that guy. He's like a ninja. He can flip and do all this crazy stuff. He's not like myself or Jack in any way. And that was like, I was like, he might not be with us. He might not do the things we do. But then we kind of like unlocked it for him. Like it's just like he found that part of himself. Because the same way as without the military, I didn't know I was missing it. He was just kind of missing just a little bit of guidance to put him on the tracks to becoming weaponized Alex Weir and master Alex Weir and all that bullshit that he is. It's just one of those things where it's like, I didn't see him being like, oh, this is, we're going to tag and we're doing this. And Tommy and Alex are tagging and Jack and Alex are winning tag team titles together. I just thought like, hey, we can give him a hand and then he can become his own person with a little bit of guidance from us. And then boom, now you have the Alex that you have now, which is a monster.
Yeah.
Right. Same as for Adam Wick. And, like I said, there's like a spark I see, and once we just kind of give that spark a little bit of oxygen, a little bit of firewood, we can blow it up in some fashion.
Right. Well, you know what? We know one thing. We know that you fed Alex some sandwiches.
Something. Fed him something.
Yeah.
When Aaron introduced me to Alex, he was like, "Hey, this guy is gonna kick you in your head." And I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, Who the fuck is this dude? And so the match come about, and he kicked me, and I'm like, all right, he cool. Like, I'm down with it. After the show, we met, whatever. Like you said, he was a skinny. That dude was skinny, man. Like,
yeah,
I was looking at Aaron like, you sure about him? He like, yeah, I just seen it. I didn't know
46 pounds wet. What are you talking about?
But he's seen it, and then now we got Master Alex Weir, which is in a retirement home right now. So
he is in a retirement home. That is for sure. Danny boy.
Yes, sir. All right. Cody asked the question. Who may be next on the list to become a member of DTA? What I want to know is maybe who would be next on the DTA hit list?
Oh,
anybody and anybody.
Line them up. Biggest one first.
Anybody who sits there and says that they're the best tag team in the world, that says they're the best faction in the world, they're the best group in the world, they're the best wrestlers in the world. It don't matter. Put them in front of us and we'll take care of it.
That's
very nice.
When I see stuff like that, like we're the best tag team or best whatever, that's when I reach out to the promotion. I'm like, hey, bro.
What's good, dude? What's good?
I would say like as well, like on the first part of the question we tried to kind of dodge earlier, Sam Beal's always a guy that we've been watching and helping and trying to mentor for a long time now. And
he's incredible.
We kind of gave XI like the nudge to get him and Jason Page up there and give them a shot because we knew that they were both they're both going to be phenomenal. And they just needed a couple looks, and they weren't getting a lot of attention in Michigan. And we knew that like we kind of had the pull for XI management. And they're going to trust our word. If we see someone's good, they're going to trust us. So we gave him a shot, and I think Adam and Sam had a match that I wasn't a fan of, and then I had to keep kind of pushing like, hey, no, like we give him another shot, and then he ended up main eventing, Proving Ground with Jack against the Monroes or who was it? Yeah, it was the Monroes, right?
Yeah.
It was Malcolm.
And then that I think kind of cemented that, like, oh yeah, he's going to be a mainstay. So he's been a guy that we've looked at a lot, and it's more about just like it's all about like finding the right time to bring him in and make that impact.
Right.
Yeah, because I hit Aaron up one day. I was at a show in Ohio, and that's where I met Jason Page at. I was like, hey, bro, it's this, like, I didn't know who he was. He came from, like, deep in Indiana. I'm like, hey man, it's this dude that dude, that I couldn't even say words. So the only thing he did was he did this dive. He did a Tokay dive.
Oh, it's so clean.
Yeah. And
his is so clean.
It was like 4 people on the outside ready to catch him, and no one caught him. And I was all you heard was a splat. And I was like, oh.
I thought he landed it.
Right.
So we get to the back. I'm like, bro, you good? He's like, yeah. But I'm like, bro, you is so good. I'm like, how long you been in? And he only been, at that time, he was only in for a month. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. This is crazy.
Right.
So,
he's something special.
And I'm like, hey man, and we exchange contacts. And I'm like, just keep in touch with me, man. And then ever since then, we've been cool. And now he's big as shit for some reason. I don't know.
He been eating them Wheaties, man. Tell you. No, but between him and Sam Beal and Jason Page, I had the privilege of working in a match with them. It was like a Survivor Series style match at XICW, and Jason Page was on my team, but Sam Beal was on the other team. Sam Beal whooped my ass. I mean, good. It was great. But damn, he's good. And I just getting to work with him, getting to see how he moves, getting all that. It was awesome. And then seeing how Jason goes out there and how much he's grown even in the past little bit of time, before wrestling stopped. He was so in his shell last year, and then he just started coming out of his shell, being more vibrant, being more outgoing about it. And that's where it always for me, that's what I look for, because I go out there and I just give 250% and I scream at the top of my lungs and I get to the back and I throw up sometimes. But I just look for that energy, because that's I want to see someone that can match that energy with me, because that's how we all are. We all have that. We can be middle of the path, and then 2 seconds later we're through the ceiling, and that's what I look for anybody that I throw at the group as to who we should bring in.
That's awesome, man.
Now, I have a question for Mr. Tommy Vendetta. It's been bugging me for weeks. I'm glad to see that you can finally swear again, because before everything happened, you dropped the promo with Donovan Danhausen.
I did.
And I didn't know if you had the ability to swear back, so I'm glad you got that back.
I did. I got it back. He told me it was cool.
Okay. My question is Donovan Danhausen the creepiest person in all of professional wrestling, or because Danny thinks he's not creepy, he keeps trying to get me with him, and personally, the man haunts my nightmares. That has powers and can take your swearing away. But that's just insane. Would you say he's one of the creepiest people in Michigan wrestling?
He's a creepy dude. In real life, he's an odd fella. But I got to go with him and Jake something on a car ride to Maine, and he's always offering advice. He was always there and stuff like that. He's a great dude. But second he gets in that ring, I don't know what happens. He snaps, and he's a weird dude. I love him. He's a weird dude though.
Now, also,
I keep offering him Josh's teeth.
Oh no! Don't do that.
Yeah, no, I like my teeth in my mouth. Now, Cody's been talking about this for weeks, and we brought it up a little bit earlier. But when you jumping off the roof? Every time I see, Tommy posted a new video, I'm like, oh, he jumped off it. No, Tommy didn't jump off his roof.
All right, so I'll be real life about it. So I tried. Okay, I tried to get on my roof. It's very steep though. So it's hard for me with my non-flexible hips that I have to put a foot up there without falling. I'm gonna try. I'm real life. We got a bigger ladder. I found it. So if I can get up there, I'm gonna do it. But my mom also did yell at me. So she said, "Don't be doing something stupid. What are you doing?" And I was like, "Mom, have you not known what I do every weekend?"
Right. That's awesome.
We'll see.
Okay, so here we go. So if Tommy jumps off his roof, if something happens, all right, everybody out there, listen. All right, I'm gonna give you all a heads up here. Okay, it's Josh Harper's fault for trying to talk him into it.
It started with Cody.
No,
Cody's the boss. That was his idea.
Going down in the flames. They're taking me with them.
Hey, when you're the boss, it's always your fault.
No, the boss comes out smelling like roses. Everybody else goes down. Anyways, it's time for legit wrestling questions. What is legit wrestling questions? That's where you, the viewers, the people out there watching the show, can ask us or the members here of the Death Threat Army questions. I will facilitate, or Dan or somebody will read the questions from the chat to the gentlemen here, and then they will so humbly and nicely answer them because they're nice guys. The cat might answer a question. You never know. But before we do that, I have this great thing. It's like a I don't know what you call it, like a video montage thing. That's like,
you do this every time.
Yeah, that thing. Legit wrestling questions. Let's go. There we go. He's making fun of me. It's cool though. I like it. I don't mind it. It's okay. There ain't nothing wrong with that. But legit wrestling questions. So we're looking in the chat here. I know there were some questions way back in the back, but let's see.
Colton Ryder Holland asked earlier, what's your biggest win or your biggest moment in wrestling? Aaron, you want to take that one first?
Yeah, let me get it.
Oh,
I was in the middle of
mute.
Yeah, I was muted because Nick was talking to me.
I'm not calling you daddy, dude.
Oh yeah, dude, I'll give you guys a sneak peek of my my finished bathroom Nick Zero and I just put in. But all right, give me a question.
We just did.
What's your biggest
I wasn't
win
listening.
or your biggest moment
Tommy
in wrestling?
Vendetta. All right, nope, you gotta give it to me again because I have to yell at Tommy Vendetta for being a big pile of shit.
What's your biggest win or your biggest moment in wrestling?
Wrestling on Raw for sure. Getting to wrestle, like finish the match with Baron Corbin and just standing next to Kurt Angle, like when we went to commercial break and having the 4.5 second conversation we did. Like I think about it all the time of just like, we went to commercial and we were standing in the ring and Kurt Angle standing right next to me. And I'm looking around just like in amazement. There's like 14,000 people there. And I'm just like looking around and I'm nervous as hell. And he just says like, just like, I'm just like a normal guy, just a normal professional wrestler right next to Kurt Angle. Hey, take it in because before you know it's going to be over. And then next thing I know, I'm backstage and it's definitely over. And it all went great. And then, I checked my phone, my phone's blowing up and it was a dream come true. It was something that like I can live and die on. Obviously I don't want to be my last appearance, but I can always say that I've been there, done that. So you can't take that shit away.
No, absolutely not.
Awesome. What about you, Mr. Price?
Proudest moment is watching Aaron Orion act like a little kid when we was wrestling Rhino and Billy Gunn.
Oh man,
Billy Gunn is his favorite wrestler. So he was so excited. He was just, oh my god, blah 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 blah. All that. So
he comes back smiling.
that was pretty cool. And
it was a dream come true.
Another moment was like The Rock is my favorite wrestler. Well, he's not my favorite wrestler, but he's one of my favorite wrestlers. So it was a moment. I'm from Grand Rapids, so they came to the Van Amdo Arena, and like Rhino speared The Rock, and I was in attendance, whatever, and he speared The Rock, and The Rock did a little flip out of it, whatever. So I was like, man, if I ever become a wrestler, I'll do the same thing. And then so I wrestled Rhino with Aaron, whatever, and the spear came about, and I was like, dude, I'm doing it, and Rhino speared me, and I did the whole flip thing, and then we get to the back, he was like, that was the best spear I ever gave. And I was like, oh! That was.
I just marked out there right big time.
That was pretty cool. So.
Tommy, what about you, buddy?
I have two. They're tied for first. So the first one was back. Aaron and I were tagging. We had tagged at a place called Superkick up in Toronto, Canada, and we had gotten into a small angle with Tarek and Banks. And if you don't know Tarek and Brent Banks, you need to look them up. They're a tag group called the Pillars. They're incredible. In my opinion, they're underrated still, even though like everyone praises them, they're still underrated. They're great. We got to wrestle them in Canada, and it was a great match. And I rewatched it today, and I posted a little clip on Facebook because I just rewatched the match. I get chills, like because of the crowd reaction. They were just like they were there for everything, and it was so pure. And we at one point, Brent hits me with a cutter on the stage. He dove out of the ring and hit a cutter on the stage, and the crowd literally like peaks the speakers on the phone that's recording, and you can barely hear it because they're yelling so loud. And like that to me was like my proudest moment because like we did that, like that was us, and like awesome. So that felt great. And then the other one was actually that Survivor Series match that I was talking about was actually on the Marine Corps birthday. And so like that was pretty cool that I got to wrestle on the Marine Corps birthday, and I actually ended up getting the win against Mongo on that day. So it was pretty sweet.
Yeah. And
like that was like peak of like happiness, I think were those two like moments for me.
Right.
Very nice.
Real quick, Alex's mom wanted to put this out. So Aaron, you will never know how much I appreciate the impact you've had on my son's life. You grew his dream into things beyond the imagination and gave him brothers for life. I love you, she says. So
I love you too. Thank you so much.
Yes. And
Alex's mom.
That's right. And then
here's the cat again.
Mr. Cody there.
Hold on, man. I'm asking questions. 2 questions.
Yeah, I got one.
2. Hold on. Second, let's see here. He already talked about Raw. Atmosphere in Toronto. They want to know about the atmosphere in Toronto, wrestling in Toronto.
Oh, that shit dope.
It's honest to God, that's my favorite place to wrestle on the planet.
It changed like wrestling for Superkick changed how I wrestle. It helped me develop the style that I was craving to know. But it's like it's one of those things. Even though if you watch the matches 100 times, it's like you can't recreate it until you have been in them a couple times. It's like it's the difference of being a pro wrestler and like playing a pro wrestler. You know, it's just like you don't understand how like the magic is made, and Superkick is like that company, that organization is really like the place where I learned how to make the magic.
Right.
And Superkick especially, and we wrestled for basically every gigantic company that runs in Canada we wrestled for in some capacity. And Destiny is the latest one that we've been there with, and the energy is still the exact same. Like
they
it's
bring
just that's the only way to put it. Is like they love it, and they're just there. They're there for everything. It's like
it doesn't matter. Like it could be like a body slam, and they're still gonna scream like you just.
Like
hit
they're gonna appreciate it, and they're gonna give you their 100%, and it makes you want to go so much harder.
That's awesome.
I think like to me, like you said, like it helps like turn you up a notch, because like Aaron and I, we would get heat in Canada because we were the big American guys coming in, waving an American flag, talking about how Canada sucks, and like. We ran through the competition and stuff like that, and so like the crowd started to hate us, and we like fed off of that energy, and it helped create like who me and Aaron became as a tag team. And I feel like that to me, we owe like for Superkick, we owe a lot to Superkick as a company, and like the people that are there that like create that, because it's an incredible atmosphere. They do so much to like make that a thing, and it's very sweet. And same thing with Destiny and anywhere else. Like Destiny is one of my favorite places to work. Like it's incredible. Same thing. Like that crowd brings the heat no matter what. Like first time we debuted there, me and Aaron were backstage. We were like, I don't know if anyone's going to know who we are. And we came out, and they immediately were booing the ever-loving shit out of us. And I was like, all right, cool.
Now, you guys were booked.
Sweet, let's go, guys.
You and Aaron were both booked on a show. I don't think the show happened, though, because it got canceled because of quarantine. Was it Cam Valley?
Yeah, it was me, Aaron, and Jack were on that one.
Yeah, and it got canceled because of quarantine, I believe, correct?
Yeah, it was actually like it was supposed to be me, Tommy, Jody versus Fight or Flight, which is a phenomenal team. And
they just started a little backyard wrestling show recently.
Oh, dude, it's awesome.
Check that out.
Like they
got some time.
They're doing like a cinematic backyard wrestling show. The guys at Fight or Flight are, and man, it is so funny and it's so good.
Yeah, it's awesome. Now, another question that was in here is pro wrestling dad. So
Yes, I want to know that too.
right, they're wondering what's up with that, man. What's going on? Are we getting more?
What's up with it, Aaron?
Yeah.
What's good with it?
It's one of those things where it's like I need people to help me do it, and it's something I can't it's almost like I need like a think tank to just bounce ideas off. So like when I'm cutting the promos and stuff like that, I need someone there to like pitch different ideas, and I'll come up with something stupid. It's like it's one of those things where it's like I really need like a team with me that day. And my brother and a friend of mine, Ben, we did the last couple, like the boyfriend one where Bailey had a boyfriend, and no, that one was like my favorite one I've ever done. And it's because I had such a good team with me,
That was a good one.
like building like the story behind them, and then it just kind of became like a situation now where it's like we wanted to do one for quarantine, and then now we can't be around any of the people. Ben, my buddy I was talking about, he's a nurse. He had COVID-19, so he couldn't come out and play anymore.
Oh damn.
But it's one of those things where it's like when the time is right. And also, like in our house, which we've been remodeling, as I've said 18 times today, I didn't like filming here because I just didn't like the way the house looks. I was like, man, like I feel like super self-conscious about like how the house looks. So I didn't want people seeing inside of this nasty bitch. So like, we've worked hard, my wife and I, over the past 6 months or whatever, to get this done. And then now Nick's in here slaving over the sink while I talk to you guys on the phone like a real piece of shit.
So
Well, I've got 6 kids, man, so I can definitely feed you things to talk about.
There you go.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like we would sit before, and then like we just kind of bounce ideas, and I would already have the premise in my head, and then it would just be like even my brother's wife, she threw out like some of the funniest lines of the promo of the having the boyfriend thing. She just said them joking around like while we were filming, and we died laughing where that has to be in it. So now I have to like reshoot the promo and then add the things she was saying because she was being so stupid, and like it was just one of those things that was just so like it's like I just need an evening with a couple people who are down to help me film and deal with my nonsense, and then it's off to the races.
Right. That promo was definitely one of my favorites too, because I related to it. I've got 3 daughters, and I walked out of the house. I was going over to a buddy's, and I had my Bowie knife strapped to one hip and my 9mm strapped to another. And there's a boy outside. We got a fenced-in front yard. This boy's waiting on the other side, talking to my daughter. This poor kid would not come to my house after that, and I actually liked the dude.
So
It looks like Tommy had a question.
he
was
Oh,
raising
no, I
his
was
hand.
saying I volunteer as tribute to bounce ideas off for Pro Wrestling Dad.
Oh,
I'm
there
there
you
for
go.
it.
There you
You
go.
don't never invite us.
Someone brought up the fact if
Nah, we can
Aaron
never
was your
decide.
wrestling dad, he could give you permission to jump off the rope, right?
That's true, but he doesn't like when I get hurt because then I can't tag with him.
Yeah, see,
Right.
yeah, and then it would be your fault, Josh.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It's like double entendre here thing, you know.
I'm not to blame anymore. It's Josh's fault. But anyways, Tim Wickland, I believe that's how you say. He says, "How did you stop yourself from yakking?" He's talking to Aaron about from the bleeding that Josh Raymond did at the Y Bar.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was a work of art.
Oh, it was hard. Because
It was dense.
I didn't know, like it happened so fast, and he then started bleeding profusely, like the worst I've ever seen anybody bleed. And then,
like
which would be
jello.
fine. I'm like, so I was in the military and stuff. The blood doesn't bother me. What bothered me is that after I beat that ass, I went to I was gonna wipe, like war paint, put his blood on my face, and when I touched the blood, it had already started clotting on the mat.
Oh,
So it was warm and then so thick that I felt myself almost throw up, like in the middle of the ring, but I couldn't because I was like in the middle of this, like I was walking up to the camera, and then I had, at the point I was too far committed, so I had to wipe this blood on my face, and it was, I'm telling you, it was so warm and so thick, and it was like syrup. And
But it was
like,
cottage cheese. It was real life.
It was
warm
too
cottage
late, and I
cheese.
had to do it. And
I was committed. I had to do it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Let's see here.
We have a question from the most right woman in Michigan for Tommy Vendetta. How did you enjoy winning the XICW brackets that they did for top wrestler? And are you excited that she backed you the entire time?
No, yeah, thank you for backing me the whole time. No, I was excited
kiss
about
ass.
it. When it got announced, I looked at the brackets and I saw everyone that was in it, and I was like, oh man, good. I'll see you guys in round 2, and then I'll be out. All right, see ya. And then it made it further and further and further, and then I was just like, all right, I'm gonna try and win this thing now. So that was cool. Like when I found out I won it, I was just like chilling at the house. I think Jack texted me. I was like, hey man, you won that thing. And I was like, no, I didn't. There's no way.
You have made quarantine misery for me. I hope you know that.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I had it.
She's the most right woman in Michigan now.
And we remind him of that all the time.
That's right. Now let's see here. Let's see. My question.
Now we talked about DTA versus the Nomads, but TJ Meyer's wondering War Inc. versus the DTA.
That's not out of the question either.
Yeah,
like I said, if anybody wants that smoke, they can just get in line and they can get that ass spanked just like that right, father.
Listen to you guys.
That's somebody I want to wrestle when we come back with
TJ Meyer.
Yeah.
Guys, should I put you guys on pause for 1 second so I can
match.
do this world? It's not completely done yet, but it's time for to show off all the hard work that I did and Nick did.
Uh-oh, here we go. Here we go. We're getting a look. Whoa, look at that.
Man.
That is beautiful. That is nice. That is really
So we put in these floors here.
Aaron, you did such a good job, dude.
And then we put this new sink in.
That's really nice.
So we had to rip the sink out and then rip the toilet out, and then you can see there's some poop right there. From when I put the sink.
That's a bathroom I would love to poop in right there.
Yeah, I mean, Nick was hounding me to show it off because he's been ready to go, and I know he's been ready to stab me in the neck for probably the last hour.
That's awesome.
But
Nick Zero.
We gotta just
look at
get
that.
a good 360.
Show me your dog over here.
No.
No.
I put some vinyl stuff on the walls, and it looks awful.
Oh. Let's see here. Nope, we already asked that. Which big promotion would you want to be signed by and why?
You said major promotion?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd go AEW 100%. But like first things first, one thing I got to knock off the bucket list is I got to wrestle for a Ring of Honor one time at least. That's something I that's Ring of Honor is like one of the things that got me into wrestling. Got me into wrestling, the style of wrestling I like. And so I got to wrestle for a Ring of Honor at least once before we can go and call it quits or go somewhere else where I could never wrestle there again.
Nice. Jack, what about you?
I go with AEW.
Tommy?
I would say the same thing that Aaron said. I want to wrestle for Ring of Honor once. I want to wrestle for PWG. PWG was like one of the places that like got me into indie wrestling. Like I started watching it and it just blew my mind what these dudes were doing. But I'd say AEW too. Like it's a new product. You know, they have a chance to basically change the game altogether. Mm-hmm. And like, why not want to be a part of that? You know.
So, all right, we're gonna wrap up the questions with this last one right here. You were talking, Tommy, this is directed at you. You were talking a lot about doing crazy stuff. Have you ever thought about doing a death match?
Oh, yeah, wow. Actually.
I thought if about so, it. With who?
Oh, so like, I think about this a lot, guys. I don't know. Like I walk around my house on a day-to-day basis and I just call matches to myself and I'll call like all different types of matches. So like obviously like death matches have like intrigued me, like watching it, wrestling at Horror Slam, you get to see a lot of that. And I listened to a podcast with Ricky Shane Page and just hearing like his perspective of like death matches. I was like, I like that a lot. So I think he would be a guy that like I'd for sure want to go and like have a match with. I jokingly had brought it up to Dre Jacobs saying that me and him should have one at XICW for poops and giggles. But not pretty much like anybody who's down that's like willing to get in there and do something. I'm down for basically everything. So
I think
like,
I have video of Dre Jacobs chewing on barbed wire.
Yes,
I think I've seen that. I'm down, you know. I'm all about it. Like I grew up like watching like ECW and stuff like that. Like that, watching Sabu get like his bicep just ripped out by barbed wire, like, and he just kept going. Like I feed off that. Like for me, like in wrestling, I guess like the pain is what like helps me like keep going. Like it just every time I take a bump, it's like boom, more adrenaline, boom, more adrenaline, boom, more adrenaline. Like the more pain I feel, the more I want to keep going because like I feel alive, you know. Like I just love it.
That's called being crazy.
Whatever, you know?
Did you hear what I said? That's called being crazy.
What'd you say?
That's called being crazy.
Well, yeah. You know,
he's a psychopath.
I'm just saying.
All of his T-shirts say lovable psychopath.
All of them.
Put that out there. That's just being crazy. But, you know, we're gonna wrap up the legit wrestling questions of the portion. You know, where you guys are able to ask questions. I want to say,
wait! You missed probably the best question of the night.
Oh
no, we skipped it on purpose.
No, I skipped it on purpose. But go ahead.
It was the best question of the night. Listen, all right, you guys had an Adam Wick photo caption contest. That somebody in this chat won.
Yes, that's true.
Yes, we won't mention any names. You know, he's a pretty cool dude.
Are you putting yourself over right now?
Yep. I wasn't talking about me, but thank you, Cody, for doing it. I said I wasn't going to name any names, but I appreciate you doing it, brother.
My Lord.
Oh, yeah.
I need new hosts. Anyways. Again, I want to say thank you to you guys for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute honor to have all three of you on. You know, I'm sure Josh and Danny over there is just as excited as I am. But
absolutely,
dude, it's been an absolute. Hey! Thanks for doing this bathroom while we were doing the show, bro.
He said thanks for doing the bathroom while we were doing the show.
Did Nick Zero just do his did he just do his pre-lockup on us right there?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, nice. But again, thank you
Josh
so
said
much.
You did your pre-lockup motion right there before you walked off screen.
The Andrew Darcy when you tickle the nose, man.
But hey, guys, again, thank you so much. Before we get out of here,
thank you, dude. I love you.
Before we get out of here, we got to say thank you to our sponsors, BCWA and Happy Harper Ice Cream. Thank you to them.
Yeah, thank you to me.
I was going to say, at least one of our sponsors is cool.
Make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't subscribed. You know, ring that bell so that we can get notified with everything. Smash the thumbs up, and just thank you guys for being here. Thank you for everything you guys do in the ring continuously. I know anytime I go to a show and DTA is going to be there, I'm set because I know you guys are going to put on probably the match of the night almost every time. So thank you for everything you do.
Thank you for the kind words, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys, and thanks for having us on. It's been a blast. I'm sorry that I wasn't 100% focused. I'm in this, but I was in it. I was in it to win it. What?
You're a real piece of shit, Aaron.
Yeah, I had to yell at everybody in my house, but it got to be like 7:20, and I was like, "Fuck, Nick, I forgot, man. I'm supposed to do this thing, and I'm sorry that I have you over there." And I've been, but I didn't think it was going to take that long. In my defense, he explained it to me as if it was going to be a breeze to do.
It never is.
And yeah, no, and then it didn't. It was nothing crazy happened, but like it just obviously it takes a long time to get it all.
Well,
done,
yeah, and putting in a toilet, that's probably putting it in right is probably the most important thing to do in the world, man. You don't need that mess.
Well, you gotta have a good
that first flush problem.
Yeah.
And although it was the most important, I left him there and alone to do it so I could talk to you guys. So I don't know if it turned out or not. It looks good, and that's all that matters.
Plus once, it's going to be a bidet.
You know, so he got out of there and went home real quick, though.
Right. Hey, here's another cap.
I was gonna say your cat just
Right.
switched races on us.
Right. Well, you know what? Listen, everybody. Thank you guys again for coming on. And it's been a blast. Make sure everybody you scroll down in the description, find our link to listen to our podcast on Podbean. See, I said it right this time, guys. I got it.
You did.
If you're interested in starting your own podcast, there's another link to get a free month of Podbean. Make sure you click on that link.
Thanks again to Aaron Orion, Jack Price, Tommy Vendetta of the Death Threat Army. We look forward to seeing all of you soon at a local indie wrestling event. Have a good night. We will see you guys Tuesday on r2youtube.com for MIW. We're out of here. Everybody, have a great night.
You too,
Bye,
brother.
guys.
Peace.
It's going down. This is Rasslin Rage. Do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade. It's going down. This is Rasslin Rage. Do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. This is Rasslin